And welcome. Today we're going to be talking about creating habits that stick. My name is Jen Wyatt, and I am your productivity coach. I am here to help you just organize, prioritize, create good habits. I mean, those are some of the things that I do. Currently, I'm actually going to talk about an offer I have at the end, but if you are interested in a free Facebook group, I run the Productive Mamas Forum, and you're more than welcome to join because we get in there and we talk about all kinds of things like a little bit deeper than what I do on my business page. But welcome. If you're here live, please say hi. And I would love to welcome you. And if you're watching in the replay, please say hi as well, because I like to know that you guys are there and that you're interested in the topics that I have. And if you have anything that you want to hear more about or anything you want me to explain deeper, leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to jump on and talk about it a little bit more, explain it a little bit deeper, provide some resources for you. That's what I'm here for. This is what I love to do. I could talk about this stuff all day long. So thank you so much for joining me, and we're just going to dive right into creating habits that stick. So one thing that I want to talk about is this, just the concept of habits. One of the things that I've discovered recently is that 40% of the actions that we take every single day are, they weren't decisions. We didn't decide to do them, they're habits, whether it's getting out of bed, putting on our clothes, you know, of course you're going to put on your clothes, but you know what I mean? There's just things that we do. We drive our car, we don't really make a decision. We make a decision to go somewhere, but a lot of the times in our life, we're just flowing from one thing to the other out of a habit, we eat the certain thing because it's a habit. We go to the certain place because it's a habit. We say certain things, we react to things in a certain way because of a habit. And I just thought it was fascinating that 40% of our time, that's half of our day, it's determined by something that we just do instinctively, and it's not something we decide or we don't put any intention around. And that was actually research done by Duke University. It wasn't just some anecdote or something I found online, but it really was Duke University. And again, they have just discovered that half of their day, half of people's days in the study that they did, is something that people either reacted passively to or intentionally created. And the reactive passively or passively allowed is the piece that really is just the habit. Because if you make a decision to do something, then it's not a habitual, it's not something that you're just going to instinctively do. And I found that to be really interesting because I mean, how many times do we go through our day without even thinking about it? I actually, there's a thing that I have discovered too in my life is that have you ever like been driving somewhere and you got to the destination, but you vaguely remember driving, but you can't remember how you got there? That's an actual psychological phenomenon. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you you're aware when you're driving, but you kind of go into this like deep place where if something were to happen, you would react to it and you would keep yourself safe. But it's almost like a dreamlike state, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, but when I was thinking about that in just terms with this 40%, how often do we just glide through our day doing what we know we're supposed to do because we do it that way all the time? And then we wonder why we're not achieving our goals, why we feel stuck, why we feel frustrated. It's really closely tied to the fact that we keep doing the same things over and over. And it's time to take a step back and really think about, okay, what am I doing that I can change? What am I doing that is just merely a habitual thing instead of something that I want to create in my life? Another thing that I have kind of been thinking about too is that Um, Decisions build habits. And I actually had this in a social media post, and I got kind of an interesting reaction to it because it's really the truth. I mean, we want to be successful. We want to do things that create change in our life, that help us grow, that maybe help others grow. If you're an entrepreneur and you really want to be that change to help someone change with your product or your service, or maybe you have a career and you want to lead your team in a certain way, or maybe on top of that you have a family and you want to lead your kids, but you sometimes sit there and think, you know, why are things happening this way? Why is my life like this? Or why is there chaos? Or why is there always clutter? Or why do we always put the mail? Like, one of my pet peeves is I have a basket by the front door on a table that is where the mail goes. And I like it to go there because I have a lot to do and I don't always get to go through the mail when it first comes in. Um, so I like it to be one place. And sometimes, my family leaves it over here, or they leave it scattered on the counter over here, or they put it over here, or they leave it in their car, or whatever. And it infuriates me. But again, it's not a habit that they built. It's not a habit that we started out our family building. And so it's going to take some time to change that. And I have to recognize that's just a habit that they have. But in order to change that habit, there has to be a decision made when they walk in the door that, yes, I'm going to put the mail over here because this is why, it's important for our family to know where mail is, and so it doesn't get lost. And so that, we could sort through the mail. I mean, there's lots of whys that we can put behind it, but there's a decision that has to be made, because when we think about our habits, like, there's lots of things that we could think about having really great habits around. I'm a huge advocate for morning routines and evening routines because it puts habits into context and it can help us get through the day. It can give us a really great way to start our day. I have a pretty intense and rigorous, disciplined, for lack of a better word, morning routine. My evening routine is a little bit looser, just depending on what I have going on in the evenings, but my morning always starts off the same. And I was intentional. I made a decision that I wanted to have a morning that wasn't full of chaos. I wanted a morning that wasn't full of, what am I going to do next? What am I waiting on? I wanted to eliminate all that stress because, face it, life can be stressful enough. We can have enough that enters into our day and into our life that causes us stress and causes a little bit of chaos. And for me, that is the one thing that I can do for myself every single day, is have a solid morning routine. But I made a decision. So I made a decision that this is the way that I want my day to go, or at least start out. And then that decision, I wrote, why statement. I wrote, this is how I want it to look. But then every day I got up, I had to make a decision to do that thing, to build that, habit, to, keep track of it somehow, or to integrate that into my day, because it was so important to me to have that, um, structure, right? The words are hard to come out. I apologize, but it really is so important to me that the very first thing we have to do is make a decision, because in our minds, like, if you ever hear anybody talk about mindset, 90% of everything that we face, everything that we're trying to change, everything that we see, 90% of that is mindset. So it's important to tackle the mindset first, because that's where we make our decisions, is in our mind, right? We set out to do something, And it's what you can maybe hear coaches sometimes call a mindset shift, like, ooh, I had a mindset shift. Well, that is that making that decision. That's like taking that that thought, that step, that action, and running with it. Because if you don't want to change, you won't. And even if you really desire to make some kind of change or to build a really good habit in your life or to have a solid morning routine, whatever kind of habit you want to build, eating healthier, I mean, there's so many different things that we can do to build on a healthy life. But sometimes, even though we know it's what we should do, we resist it. We don't want to change. We don't want to build that habit. We don't want to start that thing. I mean, we do, but we don't, right? And so when I feel this way sometimes, like, I want to improve my running, and sometimes it's like, I don't want to run, but I have to ask myself, why? Why am I feeling that way? Why am I feeling resistant to this? I know it's what I want to do. I know it's the best thing for me to do right now, and because running can help me reduce stress, and it can help me. I mean, there's so many good qualities to it, not just losing weight or burning calories. It's a really healthy thing. But even especially when I first started out, it was really hard for me to say, okay, yes, I'm gonna go run. I'd say that I'm gonna go run, I have the time to run, but there was that little something inside of me that just was holding me back. And what I've discovered too, as I've studied this out, is that part of our brains are hardwired to resist change. And I found that fascinating, because if you ever feel at war with yourself, it's because of that. It's because you want to change and you want to take a risk and you want to do this thing to better yourself or to gain a new skill or to improve your life, whatever the reason. But our brains resist it, and I think at some level it threatens our comfort. So we want to be comfortable and we want to do what we're used to. We want to do our old habits because that's what's been ingrained in us, but yet we resist it naturally. And that's why it's so important to make that decision, to have that mindset shift, to change your mind literally and say, I am deciding today to do this thing. And that's how you build habits and what you need to do to keep that habit going every day, every week, whatever interval you have. So I want to ask you, I mean, what decisions do you have to make? Where do you want to be 2 or 3 months from now? Who do you want to be? I mean, those are good things to think about, because you need to make a decision to, to do the thing, right? Remember, 90% is mind shift or mindset. And then again, we can shift that mindset by making a decision. One thing I wanted to bring up too is, and I hear this a lot about habits, is, oh, it takes 21 days, it takes 30 days to build a habit. And I want to take a moment to completely dispel that, because it's really not true. There's been a lot of research done around this recently, because the 21 days, the 30 days was a concept that I'd have to look it up and I'll put it in my blog. Actually, the exact scientists that had decided that they were a surgeon and they were trying to discover how long it took their patients to bounce back from surgery. And it took about 21 days for the brain to recognize that they were on the mend, that they were getting better, that they had a change in their life, or that something was different about them. So that's where this 21 days a habit came from. And then I know over recent years, it's been extended to 28 days, kind of land on 30 days. You see a lot of 30-day challenges that will build your healthy habits. And it's a good start. And I believed in this mystical marker forever. Like, it was my 21 days, and then I'd get to the 22nd day and I'd fall off the wagon, right? Because it wasn't ingrained in me, and I was expecting this like magical thing to happen at day 21 or even day 30. And when I still wasn't getting it, where it wasn't automatic for me, then I would get discouraged and I would give up. But the reality is that the time and energy it takes to build a habit depends on what you're trying to change and how long you've been doing it a different way. So think about that for a minute. It could take 65, 40 days, 100 days to build a habit. And that's where perseverance and making that decision each day really come into play, because we have spent a lifetime thinking that, oh, in 21 days I'm good. But that's not really the reality, that it really can take much longer than that. And so it's important to really think about and really analyze, like, why you have a habit and why you want to change that habit and what steps you have to take to change that habit. Like for me, like getting healthier, or like having like business development or spiritual development, all those things are great goals. They're like overarching themes. But there's a lot of habits that I have to change in order to do that. In order to have a healthier lifestyle, I had to build several habits in there. And I've had to work on them one by one until, like, my working out after I drop my son off at the bus stop isn't a thought anymore. It's just, it's what I do. It's I come in and I'm already ready and my mind is ready, and I don't have to psych myself up into it anymore, where 4 weeks ago it was this debate that I would have. Do I really want to work out today? Do I really want to, or even doing Facebook Lives? Like 3 months ago, I wasn't doing them at all. I had a lot of fear around them. I knew I should be doing them. I wanted to communicate this way because I love sharing content and the things that I know. But the reality is that it took me a while, and now I don't even think about it. It's part of my week. I write it on my calendar without thinking. I don't have to send a notification because I know when I'm going to do it and how I want to show up for that. So those are the things you have to think about. And it took me longer than 21 days to do that. But I wasn't doing a Facebook Live every single day. So that's the other aspect, is that not only is it the time and energy required to build that, it's how often and how many intervals you do it as well. So there's a lot to think about when forming a habit. Even though having bad habits is so easy to do, right? Like, I have such a habit of eating movie popcorn that I can't even watch a movie at a theater without buying movie popcorn. Movie popcorn is not super healthy, and I love to eat healthy, so I just say, oh, it's my one vice or whatever. But the reality is that I could break that habit and start a new habit of eating something healthier at the movie theater. It's just, I'm not ready to make that decision yet, right? So that's just kind of a silly example, but it's one of the things that it would take probably a year of concentrated effort for me, because I don't go to the movies every week. I don't go every day. I go maybe once a month. We have a family of 5, so it costs quite a bit for us to go to the movies. So you would think that money alone would make me want to not like buy the popcorn, but it's such a habit. I tried to sit through a movie without eating popcorn. It was terrible. I was so distracted the whole movie because of the simple thing. But again, it was because it was a habit. So think about these things, that when you are building the habits or thinking about a new habit or wanting to have new routines, that don't get discouraged, because it takes time. It takes time to break down the old habit. If there's an old habit you're trying to replace, it takes time to build up a new habit, and it takes effort, and it takes daily decisions. Because one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that we think that success will just happen to us. That it's easy to look at the people around us who have it all, that look great on Pinterest or, on Facebook. I look at them, they have everything. Their family's perfect. They're always going on vacation or whatever. We all have these things that we see in others that we, in turn, it creates a lack that we see lack in our lives. And it's easy to look at people who've been successful and think that their life has been easy, that they just got out of bed and they had these great habits and they were successful and they could do all these things. Again, that's comparison, and I've talked about it in some of my other Facebook Lives. But I love this thing that Mark Cuban said, if you're familiar with Mark Cuban, that he shared that it took him 10 years to become an overnight success. That's 10 years of building successful habits and things that he persevered through and even faced failure in, but still pushed through. It took him 10 years to be an overnight success. And I love that because that's really what it's about when creating new habits, is to think about that it's not going to take you 10 years to build a new habit. It could probably feel like 10 years, but the reality is that it just takes consistent effort and understanding that you need to make that decision every day. And if you're struggling with making that decision, figure out why. Is it really a habit you don't want in your life, or is it, because you think someone else thinks you should have that habit, or is it something in, a mindset shift that you have to change, like something that you have to shift in your mind to help you be able to, wrap your head around. Like I had worked with someone that always say, I need to wrap my head around that. And it's just stuck with me. What do you have to wrap your head around in order to be able to do that thing without feeling resistance or feeling less and less resistance over time? I see habits as the most underused productivity tool that we have. Like it is, if you have successful habits, you are so much further along at having a productive day, because I know there's a lot of people who often say, oh, I've used time blocking, I've used Pomodoros. Those are different time management tools. But they don't really work for me. And part of it is that they never really built it into a habit, because there's certain things that I do my week and my month and my day. Like I said, with my morning routine, it's just built in because I've been doing it consistently over and over and over, that I don't even think about when I'm going to do it. I just know when I'm going to do it. And I cannot tell you the amount of stress that has been relieved in me because of not having to think about those things anymore. I just know that I'm going to do it because those habits have been built. Those habits are there. They are part of me and who I am, but it took effort and concentration to really get to that point. So, to wrap it up, how do we build habits that stick, right? This is the whole point of this a live stream, and I've talked about a lot of different things, and I'm just going to recap it for you. And the first thing to do is think about how you're spending half of your day. What are you doing on autopilot? What are you doing without thinking about it? What are those things? And kind of think about it. Some things are good things. Brushing your teeth before you leave the house, absolutely autopilot, perfect. But do you have habits that you want to change? Are there things that you don't like about your day? Or are there things that you do? Think about those things, because you're spending half of your day doing things habitually that's not having any intention or any decision around them. Second thing is, what decisions do you need to make? Where do you want to grow? Not just where do you want to go, but where do you want to grow? And what do you want to do with your life? Who do you have to be? Who do you have to become to do that thing, that burning passion, desire? You hear me talk about these things a lot, because my burning passion, desire is to help you have healthy, successful habits that will help you become unstoppable, right? But what decisions do you have to make? Who do you have to become? Think about those things, because those will help you build habits that stick. And remember that it takes time and energy to create a new habit, and it varies from thing to thing. So don't get discouraged. Just keep doing it, because eventually you will have a habit that will completely stick. So at the beginning of the live stream, I talked about something I was going to share and offer. I just wanted to mention this. This isn't a program. This is my one-on-one coaching. I actually have a few spots that have opened up, because I like to, you only need a coach for a certain amount of time sometimes. And I had a few that finished up. And so I have a few spots open, and I wanted to offer one-on-one coaching. If anything I said to you resonated with you, that you have habits that you want to build, or you have a morning routine that you want to concentrate on, or you want to learn more about those things, I am opening up my one-on-one But before you even get to, one-on-one and all that stuff, I want to sit down with you and have what I call a connection call. It basically talks about how we can work together and if we can work together, because sometimes, I'm very straightforward, and maybe you need someone who's not straightforward. I've been in the business world a long time, so I tend to see things in black and white, and it's really, really great for some people. It's not so great for some people, and that's okay. I mean, we all have people that we like. I've been through several coaches until I found one that really resonated with me. So again, no obligation, no hurt feelings, but I do want to, spend time talking to you. If you're interested, answer any questions. There's lots of things that when I coach people one-on-one, if you're starting a business or you're struggling in your business or having good systems or habits or anything like that, I am definitely your girl for that. I've spent a lot of my time working with small businesses locally and online. And I worked with one-on-one and new entrepreneurs and people starting businesses. I've worked with for-profits and nonprofits. So I have kind of a wide range there, but I can really help you look at your business and then see your gaps and then help you fill the gaps with training or skills or coaching or point you in the right direction or help you resources that help you create a map so you can strategically plan out your goals. And we kind of work through those goals, and then I do accountability. It's actually really fun. I love working with clients one-on-one. At the end of the month, I will be talking about a group that I'm starting out. So stay tuned for that. If one-on-one isn't something that you're interested in, I will be opening up a group later on at the end of the month, beginning of October. But I just, like I said, I had these spots come available, and I wanted to open it up to you guys who have been watching me for a while or maybe interested in having, achieving fantastic goals, or again, creating habits or being better at time management. I work a lot with people time management. I've helped people uncover time that they thought they didn't have time, and I've helped them kind of sift through the day. So all kinds of things. I mean, one-on-one coaching is really up to whatever you want to work on. It's not a program that I have that if you go to the website that's Cycling Here, I kind of walk through my process because we create what I call a map, which is my activated purpose. And if you don't know what that is, we talk through that and we help you figure out your biggest and brightest goals, whether it's one, whether it's whatever, 3, 5 sometimes. And then I help you set up that plan, and I help you develop targets and ways to measure if you're successful and define success. So there's like a lot of different things I talk about in that, and I'm like jam packing in here because I want to keep this short. But go to this website and check it out. There's a link at the I'm gonna actually put the link in the comments here, but there's also, if you go to that page, there is a button that you can schedule a connection call with me so we can talk about it a little bit more, or you can send me a message, or you can leave a comment here and I will get back to you however you're comfortable talking with me. I will meet you there, and I look forward to working with you, and I hope you enjoyed everything. And you can get a recap of this, of course, in the live tomorrow. I'll post, the different topics I talked about, but also you can catch me on my blog at jenwhitemba.com, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. I hope you have a great and productive day. Bye.